When the final move is made, will love be the ultimate prize or the ultimate sacrifice? Welcome to Wicked Games, Part 5, the thrilling, emotional conclusion to TK, Leigh's electrifying romantic suspense saga that has kept listeners hooked from the very first word. In this heart-pounding finale, the lines between love and betrayal blur as dangerous secrets are exposed and long-buried truths come to light. Passion intensifies, loyalties are tested, and the choices our characters make could mean the difference between redemption and ruin. With edge-of-your-seat tension, raw emotion, and unforgettable twists. TK. Leigh delivers a powerful ending that explores the true cost of love and the courage it takes to fight for it. Are you ready for the final chapter in this wickedly addictive game? Chapter 33. Chloe. Is that you? My mother calls out as I timidly approach her room. I push open the door, peeking inside. I swallow hard at what appears to be a shell of the woman who raised me. The strong, tenacious woman who didn't take shit from anyone, who would fight tooth and nail for a cause she believed in, who, on more than one occasion, had gotten arrested during a protest. It's difficult to see her so weak that she can barely support her head, her hands shaking every time she attempts to bring a sippy cup to her mouth, all from drinking too much for more than a decade. Hey, Mom, I greet weakly. I brought you more of Wendy's soup. Thanks, sweetie. She waves me over, the motion seeming to take all the energy out of her. I set the tray onto the table beside her and prop her into a sitting position, placing a few extra pillows behind her to keep her head upright. Can I get you anything else? I step back. Actually, yes. She pats the mattress, smiling. It reminds me of my younger days when she'd beam, bestowing praise on me for accomplishing something ordinary and unexceptional. Like help her decorate a cake, or set the table, or sing a song. She never berated me for not living up to my true potential, as my father would. Sit down, baby. With a nod, I lower myself onto the edge of the bed. She grabs my hand in hers. I have to swallow through the lump forming in my throat when I feel how cold they are, how violently they shake. I do my best to steady them, covering her hand with my own and holding her tightly, wishing I could fast forward through this part. Chloe, sweetie, she begins with a sigh, peering into my gray eyes. You remind me so much of your father. What I stiffen, heat washing over my face. I'm not anything like that man. Maybe not the man he is today, but back when we first met, staring into the distance. A nostalgic gleam fills her eyes. I see a lot of him in you. You'll fight for something you strongly believe in. You'll bend over backwards to help a friend in need. Her smile fades and she pulls her hands from mine, leaning back against the pillows, her gaze slowly lifting to mine. You'll sacrifice your happiness and well-being for those you love, often without them knowing. Unsure where this is going, I remain silent. I overheard your conversation with Lincoln. I glance at her sideways, hesitant. What part? Enough to realize how selfish I've been. Her gaze searches mine before she asks, Did you really drop out of school to take care of me? I thought you left because you got a job in the field. I couldn't let you end up on the streets. I lower my voice. You're my mother. She closes her eyes, a few tears trickling down her cheeks. And I've been a horrible one at that. She returns her determined gaze to me. I want you to know that you bear no blame in any of this. But, no, I won't have you blaming yourself. I'm the one who decided being numb would solve all my problems. I knew it wasn't the answer. I should have focused on my daughter, not ignore her for the bottle. Definitely not make her take care of me instead of the other way around. It's not your fault, Mom. It is. And don't you dare try to convince me otherwise. I will not let you walk out of this room thinking this isn't my fault, that you bear even a speck of blame here. You don't. So don't you even try to argue with me, Chloe Lynn, because I'll win. She winks. Then her light expression falls and she reaches for my hand once more. This time, it's a little more steady, but not much. Promise me something. What's that? I want you to finish this semester and finally graduate. On a long exhale, I pull away. It's not that easy. Things are complicated. Why? She crosses her arms in front of her chest. The way her body trembles makes it appear she's trying to warm herself, not suffering from the lack of alcohol in her bloodstream. Because Lincoln's your professor, my heart drops to the pit of my stomach, eyes widening. If she knows, who else does? And how does she know to begin with? Yes. Lincoln's dropped by on occasion over the past few weeks, but we'd kept our conversations focused on my mother's recovery. Today was the first time he brought up class. When you have kids of your own, you'll understand how mothers develop this kind of sixth sense about things. Plus, I've spent a lot of time talking to Wendy. She looks at me thoughtfully, her smile returning. We actually met once many years ago now, at the company Christmas party a few months before. She trails off. She doesn't need to elaborate. I know she's referring to the death of Lincoln's father. I remember talking to her about how she felt about her husband's new assignment as the Southeast Asia bureau chief, especially considering this was mere months after 9/11. She didn't seem too fazed by it. Said the hardest part was being away from him. But it was a mutual decision they made so their son could finish his senior year of high school here in the States. Once he was off to college, she planned on settling in Mumbai with him, but she never got a chance. Did she? No, but that's not relevant here. The fact is, I know who Lincoln is. Chloe. Wendy mentioned he worked for the Times and also taught at a local college. The same local college my own daughter currently attends. From there, we both kind of put the pieces together. Then you understand why I have to do this. Why I have to withdraw. No, you don't. I am more than aware that your father and I have done a horrible job at making you feel like you're deserving of this risk Lincoln seems willing to take. But you are. You are worth so much more than the hand you've been dealt. So promise me. Go back to school. Finish this semester. Graduate. Finally prove that smug father of yours wrong. Don't give him the satisfaction of being right. Okay, I chew on my lower lip, torn, yesterday. This seemed like the right decision. I assumed Lincoln would eventually realize it was best for both of us, considering how much we've muddied the waters. Then again, we muddied those waters the instant I begged him not to report our relationship to the dean, and he agreed. There's only 4 more weeks left in the semester. What can possibly go wrong? Okay. Chapter 34. My office line ringing sounds Thursday as I catch up on all the articles I'd pitched and need to deliver in the next few days. Despite my initial reluctance, Lincoln was right, as was my mother. I needed to live my life, and that life included returning to work. Shuffling papers around my desk, I follow the noise of my phone, finally finding it under a folder full of photos of the latest royal baby. Quickly grabbing the receiver, I answer breathlessly. Chloe Davenport? Ah, Miss Davenport. A deep, gravelly voice comes on the line, the timbre making my body buzz to life. It's Professor Moore. I do hope it's not too forward of me to call you at work. There's a flirtatious quality to his tone that has me playing along with his little game. And if I know anything about Lincoln, it's that he loves games. Not at all, Professor, I reply softly, facing the corner of my cubicle to have a bit more privacy. I was calling to see if you'd be available for a bit of a chat today before class. Regarding your past performance. Past performance, precisely. 52 West 13th Street, near 5th. Meet me there in 30 minutes. Go to the front desk and give them your name. Not your office, I ask in a demure voice, swiveling in my chair. Isn't that against school policy? It is frowned upon. Then don't play coy with me, Miss Davenport. His tone is gruff, demanding. A complete change from the flirtatious quality mere seconds ago. I snap my mouth closed, involuntarily clenching my thighs together in an attempt to dull the ache. I see how you look at me every week. And how's that? Like you want to part those legs of yours and let me have my way with you? Professor? I gasp, feigning indignation, when, in reality, everything about this game turns me on in a way nothing has before. I've always craved Lincoln, am always desperate for more of him. But this takes carnal desire to a level I hadn't expected. Don't even try to deny it, Miss Davenport, because I've been fantasizing about you all semester. How can I not when you come in and flirt with those boring classmates of yours? All to make me jealous. I don't. You do. He barks before softening his voice. But I know something your male classmates don't. What's that? I glance over my shoulder to make sure I'm alone. It would be just my luck that an audience of coworkers would be assembled, eavesdropping in on bits of our juicy conversation. Thankfully, that's not the case. That they can fawn over you all they want, then go home and jerk off as they imagine how you feel and taste. But the truth remains, and that is, every single one of them. They're just boys. You need a man. Someone who can satisfy even your most hidden desires. His voice becomes breathy, carnal, wanton. And you think that's you? I don't think. I know. And you do too. He pauses before adding, "Don't be late, Miss Davenport. You know how I feel about tardiness." He allows his words to linger for a moment before the line goes dead. I remain motionless, staring at the wall of my cubicle, my heart racing. Then I jump to my feet, return my phone to the cradle, and hastily collect my things. I don't want to be late for Professor Moore. Or maybe I do. I check my watch as I hurry down the street. The address, Lincoln. Professor Moore requested I meet him at coming into view. I thought I'd be practical and take a cab instead of the subway or bus. I was wrong. I'm convinced the cab driver intentionally took the route he knew would be most congested to pad his fare. The drive, which should have only taken 25 minutes, took close to 40. Frantically pulling open the door to the boutique, Georgian-style hotel, I burst down the short flight of stairs to the lobby. I scan the area for any sign of Lincoln, then remember his instruction that I give my name at the front desk. I run my hands over my dress to calm my frazzled appearance, my heels clicking on the tile as I continue toward the registration desk. If I weren't in such a hurry, I'd take a minute to appreciate the beauty surrounding me. Brick walls, wood accents throughout, crown molding, flecks of gold, all elements I never would have thought to marry together. But it works here. The charming yet sophisticated space fits in with the style of Greenwich Village. "How can I help you?" Miss Blonde with a congenial smile asks. "My name is Chloe Davenport. Yes, Miss Davenport." She retrieves a key card from the desk area and hands it to me. Elevators are around the corner and to the left. She gestures in the general vicinity. "Enjoy your stay." I offer her my thanks, then head in the direction she pointed, skirting past a family of tourists as they step off the elevator. I sneak on, glance at the room number, then hit the button for the 16th floor. Once the doors close and I'm alone, I rock on my heels, jittery, unsure what awaits me. But if the buildup is any indication, I have a feeling it will be better than any fantasy. Once the elevator stops, I step off, padding down the short, quiet hallway to the correct room. I insert the key into the slot and turn the knob, stepping hesitantly onto the hardwood of the foyer, praying the woman at the front desk gave me the correct key, and I'm not about to walk into some crazy swingers party. But if there were a party going on, there wouldn't be this striking silence. The only noise that of the air conditioning unit and the faint ambient city sounds I barely notice now that I've lived in Manhattan this long. I round the corner from the foyer and my feet meet plush carpet, the bedroom coming into view. I halt in my tracks at the sight of Lincoln sitting in a wingback chair, a view of Greenwich Village and beyond visible behind him. A leg rests on a thigh, today's edition of the Times spread in front of him. My heart skips a beat as my eyes feast on him, so casual, so smooth, so sophisticated. The way he looks in a crisp, three-piece suit, coupled with his dark-framed glasses and designer tie, has my libido going into overdrive. I'm pretty sure the old girl is stretching in preparation for what she hopes to be a killer workout. Finally, Lincoln's eyes lift to mine. Slow, deliberate, calculated. The heat in his stare sends a delicious shiver through me, ending between my legs, my core clenching. "Miss Davenport." His voice is even, unaffected, as he folds the newspaper, placing it on the small table beside him. "Professor Moore." He raises his arm, using a single finger to beckon me to him, the severe expression he wears not allowing any room for argument. My eyes remain locked on his, ash gray to vibrant green. The closer I get, the more I'm attuned to the raw masculinity and sexuality coming off him. I stop when I'm mere inches away, closer than would be considered socially acceptable, but still far enough away that I'm not right in front of him. Not yet, anyway. He places both feet on the floor, resting a hand on either thigh, but makes no move to get up. A king holding court over his subject, and I am more than willing to be his subject. You're late. You're aware I have a very strict policy when it comes to tardiness. My cab driver gave me a nice tour of Fifth Avenue, instead of taking a less congested route. Otherwise, I would have been on time. My voice is little more than a squeak, a complete shift from my normally assured tone. You also know how I feel about excuses, do you not? He glares at me through condescending eyes. I do. He grips my hips, yanking me between his legs in one swift move, his hands going to my ass, squeezing. I gasp, my pulse skyrocketing, as if this is new. I guess it is in a way. Leaning toward me, his nose grazes against my waist before he dips lower, inhaling when he reaches the apex of my thighs. He squeezes tighter, a visible shiver rolling over him before he pulls away, his eyes on fire. It sears a hole straight through me, or at least through my panties. He releases his grasp on me, sliding a hand along my hip bone, my muscles clenching. I have to remind myself to breathe as his touch leisurely travels down my thigh, pushing back the slit of my skirt. Perhaps I should teach you a lesson so you won't let it happen again. He shifts his eyes to mine, his voice becoming gruff, unable to hide his own need for me. The heat of his finger looms torturously close to my center, but still too far. He may as well be in Jersey City. Would you like that? God, yes, I exhale. I had a feeling you would. Abruptly pulling away, he stands, his sudden shift forcing me to step back. With purposeful strides, he moves past me, turning to face me once he reaches the bed, eyes narrowed. He beckons me with that same finger. I could find a better use for that finger. But damn if this entire scenario doesn't have me running hotter than any previous sexual encounter, including all the other times I've been with Lincoln. I keep my expression even as I walk toward him, my chest rising and falling in a quicker rhythm. When I'm within reach, he spins me around, yanking my body hard and fast against his, my back to his front. He runs a desperate hand along my stomach, over my breasts, up to my mouth, never staying in one spot too long. Tell me, Miss Davenport, what do you think an appropriate punishment is for your tardiness? He finds my nipple through the fabric of my dress. When he pinches, I moan, my body pulsing with need. My libido has checked the laces on her sneakers and is officially ready for that starting pistol. But I know Lincoln. He has no intention of firing it anytime soon. His self-control is excruciating. Whatever you think is best. I swallow hard. Sir, with a hungered growl, he grips my hair, forcing my head to the side, exposing my flesh for his pleasure. He clamps his teeth down on that spot where my neck meets my shoulder and my legs turn into jelly. An arm wraps around my waist and tugs me even harder against him, supporting me. He knows how much his mouth on this spot drives me insane, and today is no different. But something about this game we're playing has my body more alert, more needy, more desperate for him, too soon. He releases his hold on me, forcing me around to face him. Strip, he orders. I feign shock and a hint of innocence. But, Professor Moore, don't play the virtuous card with me. You've been fantasizing about this as much as I have. He curves toward me, his delicious scent consuming me. You can't stand here and tell me you haven't. I know the truth. His hand goes to my chin, tilting my head up, his mouth a whisper from mine. All it would take is the slightest movement, and I'd taste his lips. And I want to. God, I want to. But just like the night we first connected, I want this even more. The chase, the hunt, then the kill. And what's that? His finger draws a line down my throat, through the valley of my breasts, then circles my belly button before disappearing into the slit of my skirt. That you can't stop thinking about me every time you touch this delicious pussy of yours. His thumb brushes against me, teasing. You are so wet for me, aren't you? Yes, I pant, my eyes rolling into the back of my head. Yes, what? I swallow hard, licking my lips, my chest heaving. Yes, sir. Good girl. He removes his hand from me, and I snap my eyes open, watching as he steps back. His demeanor is nothing short of collected and assured. As always, this is simply a game, an opportunity to pretend to be two different people for a minute. But I doubt I could remain as composed as he. I'm already on the verge of losing what little control I have left. Strip. Yes, sir. I reach behind myself and lower the zipper of my navy blue sheath dress, the sleeves off the shoulders. I take my time as I shrug it off, addicted to the heat building in Lincoln's eyes as he watches my every move. No bra. Benefit of having nearly non-existent boobs, I answer shyly. You can get away without a bra instead of having to wear a strapless that digs into your skin. Lincoln's demeanor changes as he closes the distance between us, pressing my body to his. His mouth finds mine, and I sigh into his tender kiss. A break in character. He cups my breast, his touch reverent, yet still filled with so much passion. You're perfect, Chloe. He whispers against my mouth. Everything about you is perfect. Don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. Before I have a chance to respond, he steps back. With the flip of an internal switch, he turns into Professor Moore, stance wide, expression severe. He nods slightly, and I continue pushing my dress down my body, over my hips, allowing it to pool at my feet. I step out of it, about to kick off my heels when his voice rings out. No, the shoes stay on. My libido gives me a high five. Apparently, she was hoping he'd say that. So was I. Yes, sir. But your panties do not. Yes, sir? Smirking. I hook my fingers in the waist of my panties, ridding myself of my last article of clothing, while Lincoln remains fully dressed. I'm about to toss them on top of my discarded dress when he extends his hand toward me. I'll take those. Why am I not surprised? I murmur in a sly voice, placing them into his palm. He clutches my bicep, spinning me around, binding my body against his. You're already in trouble, Miss Davenport. Shall I increase your penalty? He slides a leisurely hand down my stomach, which only serves to heighten the pressure building inside me, growing more excruciating with the passing of each second. When his finger slides beyond my hip bone, I discreetly part my legs. And what penalty is that? Maybe I won't let you come, he warns, his teeth skimming against my neck, a dull ache from where he'd marked me. That should serve as sufficient motivation to follow my rules. No, I beg, desperate, not that, anything but that. Anything, he repeats, amused. Anything. The idea of being left in this state for the next several hours is enough to drive me mad. I need to get off. And soon. He turns me around, his grin mischievous. I do have something else in mind. Something I've been thinking about for quite some time now. And what's that? You'll see. He brings my panties up to his nose and makes a show of inhaling, shivering dramatically before shoving them into the pocket of his pants. Have you ever used a safe word? I have. And have you ever been spanked? I have. He nods, seemingly unaffected by my response, as if I just told him I've been to Florida. Not that I've been tied up, spanked, or blindfolded. I won't be too harsh. Not today, anyway. We'll start slow, since we've never really explored much of this together. If you're not ready, that's okay, too. He adds quickly, cupping my face, my sweet, compassionate Lincoln returning. I would never force you into doing something you're not ready for. It won't make me want to be with you any less. Okay, I simply stare at him, my expression even, not giving anything away. Then I rid myself of his hold, stepping past him. Chloe, When I glance over my shoulder with a sly smile and wink, he snaps his mouth shut, his eyes filling with wanton lust as he watches me crawl onto the mattress, my ass exposed to him. As I wait in anticipation, the room becomes eerily silent, apart from my labored breathing, and I stare at the black and white print of the Brooklyn Bridge hanging over the headboard. When I feel Lincoln's finger draw a line down my spine, I peek back at him standing to the side of the bed, his jacket and vest discarded. You're sure? I nod subtly. I need you to say it, Chloe. I need more than a nod. I'm sure I want this. His mouth quirks into a smile as he pulls away, loosening his tie. But just as soon as it appeared, the light expression vanishes. Face forward, like a trained pet. I oblige. Jerking my eyes forward, the snap of his tie ripping from his neck as formidable as the crack of leather against skin. He brings the silk-like material up to me, using it to shroud my world in darkness. Without the sense of sight, everything else is heightened. Smell, sound, touch, feel. The shiver from his finger tracing a line from my nape down my spine nearly unhinges me. Such an innocent touch, barely there. But the depth of it hits places on my body I never knew existed. The bed dips and my breathing increases, my heavy pants echoing in my ears. The heat of him prickles my skin as he leans over me, his teeth lightly pulling on my earlobe. If it's too much, say panties? Panties. Fitting, don't you think? I smile. A break in the charged atmosphere. I couldn't think of a more appropriate word. He turns my head toward his, covering my mouth, treating me to a taste of him, before he pulls away, resuming the role he's here to play. The sound of a belt buckle loosening finds its way to my ears, followed by his zipper. I hold my breath, bracing myself for whatever's to come, but nothing does. The room's still, 1 second, then another, and another. When I'm about to remove the blindfold, a hard slap lands across my ass, the shock of it causing me to scream and bury my head in the pillow, not out of pain, but in unbridled ecstasy. My body craving more of his brutal touch, his stinging hand, his punishing caress. I don't even notice how much I'm shaking until Lincoln grips my hips, steadying me. He covers my frame with his hands gliding down my arms, his fingers linking with mine. Are you okay? His breathing is hard, labored. Yes, good girl. He leaves a jarring kiss on my neck before pushing himself up, his touch gone. I take several deep breaths, moaning when he lands another blow to my other cheek, harder this time, but it makes me burn for him even more. He brings his hand back to me, massaging my ass, then sliding a few fingers between my legs, pushing inside, stretching and massaging. Does spanking turn you on? Yes. I move against his fingers, on the brink of shattering. I'm unprepared for him to withdraw and slap my ass once more. Yes, what he growls. Yes, sir, I yell, gripping the sheets, my muscles tight. Better. He slides a finger back inside me and I move against him, my mind a haze. Don't come, he whispers in a gruff voice. Not yet. I want to feel your pussy clench around my cock, not my hand. Then you'd better hurry because I'm ready to fall apart. His chest hair tickles my back, his breath hot against my flesh. Condom or no condom? No condom. Good girl, he says again, removing his fingers. He lifts his arousal up to me and runs his tip around my slickness, but doesn't slide inside, torturing me even more. Lincoln, I moan. He fists my hair, yanking my head back. What did you call me? I mean, Professor Moore, I stammer. Better. I shouldn't let you come from that little slip-up, he muses, pulling his erection away. No, he bites my neck. Then beg for me, he orders, his mouth never leaving my skin, jarring and bruising. I squeeze my eyes shut, my entire body stiffening as I breathe through the ache. Please, Leigh, Professor Moore, please. What his bite becomes even more harsh, but still makes me hunger for him. I fear the second he pushes into me, I'll implode into 1,000 tiny pieces. Tell me what you want. Please fuck me. My voice is even, but still laced with desperation. Good girl. He loosens his grip, his tongue tracing gentle circles where his teeth just dug into my skin. Or perhaps I should say bad girl. You know what they say, don't you? What's that, he asks, amused. Good girls go to heaven, but bad girls make you feel like you're in heaven. He finishes as he thrusts into me, and this is most certainly heaven. He kisses my shoulder blade, not moving as he fills me to the hilt. You are my heaven. He slowly retreats before pushing back into me, going even deeper. This torturous rhythm continues as he plunges into me in a punishing drive, stills for several agonizing moments before withdrawing, almost like he knows I'm close to losing my mind and is prolonging my pleasure. His hand massages my ass, making me moan. Then he lands a hard blow at the same time as he pushes into me. The combination of the agony and ecstasy has my heart racing. If there weren't a blindfold obscuring my vision, I'd be blind from sensation. The pattern continues, bringing me to the edge, only to slow down, waiting until I've recovered before thrusting and slapping again. Each thrust, each slap is more punishing, more enthralling, more addicting, making me cry out louder, my legs to shake more violently. Harder, I beg, so close to unraveling. Like this. His breathing labored. He reels back, the force of his blow and drive pushing me forward. Harder, I bite the pillow to muffle my cries. He stills, preparing for his next assault, which is more brutal, yet erotic. Harder, I scream once more, unsure how much more I can take, but I'm willing to find out, to test my limits. Like a beast unleashed, he drives into me, pressing his hand to my back, keeping me locked in place so my pleasure is completely at his mercy. But the build-up to this moment was so intense, so drawn out. It doesn't take long for me to fall over the edge, crying out his name as forceful waves of ecstasy wash over me, my legs trembling as I come undone. Fuck, Chloe. His words come out almost like a strangled plea. He increases his rhythm even more before he stills, clutching my hips as he finds his own release. We remain motionless as we attempt to get our breathing under control. My body still shivering through the after effects of what is probably the most body-numbing orgasm I've ever had. Being with Lincoln has always been an adventure. He's able to satisfy me in a way I never thought possible. But this may be the hottest experience to date. Looping an arm around my waist, he slowly pulls out, then helps me roll onto my back. When he unfastens my blindfold, I'm met with blazing green eyes. Hey, he says sweetly. Hey. I reach up, running my fingers through his hair, my arm quivering from muscle fatigue, grabbing my hand to help steady it. He closes his eyes, arching into the touch before returning his gaze to mine. How was that? Hot. Insanely hot. Are you sore? A little. I curved toward him, brushing my lips with his. But just think, every time you see me squirming in class because of how uncomfortable those hard chairs are, you'll know it's because of you. I would offer to bring my office chair in for you, but I fear more students might expect the same treatment. There are quite a few girls who I'm sure would love for you to tie them up and spank them. I jest, although my statement's not a complete lie. He wraps his arms around me, and I kick off my heels, allowing them to fall to the floor with a loud thump. I was talking about bringing a chair in. You're the only one I want to tie up and spank. Good, I say drowsily, closing my eyes, and he covers our bodies with the duvet. Good. His soft kiss on my temple is a stark contrast from his earlier dominance. I love that this man can give me both. He can be fire and ice, harsh and endearing, wicked and honorable. And he's all mine. Can I ask you something? I press after a few moments of silence. Anything, except where Jimmy Hoffa's buried. I'm sworn to secrecy on that one. I turn around, playfully pinching him in the side as I snuggle into his chest. Why did you want to do this? Have sex with you. He touches my chin, forcing my eyes to meet his. In case I haven't made myself clear, I am absolutely addicted to you. Not that. I meant the whole role-playing thing. Well, technically, it's not exactly role-play with us. True, he responds thoughtfully. It's not. I guess I didn't want this to become an elephant in the room between us. Is our situation ideal? Far from it. When we're together like this, I want to be able to be us and not worry about life outside these walls. He returns his mouth to mine and pushes me onto my back, hovering over me, resting his weight on his forearms. And I've been fantasizing about some role play with you ever since I met you. Is that right? He leisurely licks his lips, his gaze darkening once more. That's right. And what kinds of things did you have in mind? Oh, you know. The corners of his mouth twitch up in a flirtatious grin as he lowers himself, dragging his tongue along my collarbone, traveling farther south before tugging on my nipple. The usual. And what's that? Doctor-patient. Boss, secretary. The Virgin College freshman. He moves to my other breast, giving it the same treatment. I close my eyes, hooking my leg around his waist, feeling his erection slowly return to life. But I am certainly partial to Professor Student, especially after today. He covers my mouth with his, trailing a hand down my torso before sinking a finger inside, my body reigniting. Oh, Professor, Chapter 35. Chloe, a tender voice says, rousing me from one of the most erotic dreams I've had in quite some time. I slowly blink my eyes open, taking in my unfamiliar surroundings. The instant my gaze locks on Lincoln, I realize it wasn't a dream. This afternoon was real. Lincoln lured me into a hotel room for the sole purpose of having hot, naughty sex. Here, he extends his hand, revealing 2 ibuprofen. This will help with, well, any discomfort. I scoot up, wincing, my ass sore, but I'd gladly suffer through this pain again. The pleasure I experienced still making me feel like I'm on a high. What time is it? I place the pills on my tongue, then grab the bottle of water he holds out, taking a sip. After 2:30, we need to get to class. Uh-oh. Passing him a coquettish look. I reach for his tie that served as a blindfold mere hours ago. It appears I'm going to be late again. I yank him toward me, my words coming out breathy. Perhaps I need a reminder of your rather strict tardiness rules. Perhaps you do. He crushes his lips against mine, his tongue plunging into my mouth as sparks shoot through me. I rake my fingers along his back, about to push his jacket off his shoulders when he abruptly pulls away, adjusting his belt. But at a later date. Oh, really? I roll onto my side, propping my head in my hand as I narrow my eyes on his crotch. From where I'm standing, you're hungry for more, or I'll always want more of you. He brings his hand to my cheek, lovingly brushing his thumb along the skin. My sweetest addiction, but we still need to go. Ugh, I throw my legs over the side of the bed, so serious. He flashes a beautiful smile my way. Then his expression falls as I turn to grab the dress he placed neatly over a chair, his attention focusing on my ass. Chloe, I press my mouth to his before he can utter another word. Don't. I liked it. Actually, I really liked it. I don't want you to feel bad because then you won't want to do it again. And I really want you to do that again. With a bounce in my step, I head toward the bathroom. But next time, you be the doctor. I'll be the patient. And you can give me a very thorough exam. I close the door behind me, grinning to myself when I hear him curse under his breath. Aware of what a stickler Lincoln is for being on time, I hurriedly run a washcloth over my body and freshen my appearance so I don't look like I've just been fucked, especially on my first day back to class after missing 3 weeks. A bruise has already formed on my neck, teeth marks visible, so I smooth my hair over my shoulder, covering it as best I can. When I emerge into the bedroom, Lincoln's readjusting his tie. He appears just as put together as he did when I first walked into this hotel room, apart from his hair, which has a mussed-up, just-fucked look. Sauntering up to him, I bring my hands to his neck, helping to straighten his tie. Every time I look at you and see this tie, I won't be able to stop thinking about the things you did to me when you used it as a blindfold. That's the point. He waggles his brows. I touch my mouth to his, then allow him to help me into my jacket, after a quick check to make sure I have everything, apart from my panties. He walks me to the door. Thanks for this afternoon. With a smile, I lift myself onto my toes, kissing him. Thank you. He pulls back the door, holding it open for me. I step into the hallway, turning around when he doesn't immediately follow. Aren't you coming? Hesitation flickers in his expression. I don't think it's a smart idea for us to walk out of a hotel together. We are only a few blocks away from campus. Oh, my heart deflates. It's just... With a sigh, he pinches the bridge of his nose before returning his eyes to mine. We need to be careful. I want to be with you, but I'll lose my job. Probably both jobs. So, of course, I force a smile. The high I was on crashing to the floor now that reality has set in. Will we ever be able to be seen together? Or is this all we'll ever have? A few clandestine meetings. Some really hot sex. then being sent away before anyone realizes the truth. It reminds me a little too much of all the men who came before him. Well, I hold my head high, resecuring my mask. I'll be on my way. He steps toward me. Chloe, I hold up my hand, stopping him. It's no big deal. My tone turns icy. Thanks for the private session, Professor. By the time I step off the elevator and make my way through the familiar corridors of the journalism building, my blood is boiling. No matter the questionable things I'd done in my past, I've never felt as cheap as I just did with Lincoln. Why did I expect things would be different? It was stupid of me to think we'd ever have a normal relationship. When I barrel into the classroom several minutes after 3, all eyes go to me in expectation, then disappointment when they see I'm not Lincoln. A few of the girls rake their disapproving gazes over me. I wonder if I have a blinking sign on my forehead, advertising the fact that I just fucked our professor. This must be how Hester Prynne felt. Except she knew she wore a giant sign announcing her sins to the world. My sins are still invisible. How much longer will they remain that way? I take a few seconds to compose myself, feeling unnaturally exposed without the panties I can only assume are still stuffed in Lincoln's pocket, and meet Owen's confused stare, which doesn't leave me the entire time I walk in his direction and sit down, shrugging out of my coat. I pull a notebook from my bag, flipping to a free page, squirming in my chair. I smooth my hair over my shoulder, ensuring it adequately covers the mark Lincoln left. I should have sat on the other side of Owen so he wouldn't have as many opportunities to see it. Better yet, I should have kept my coat on. "Where have you been?" he asks, once I'm situated. "I figured Professor Prick kicked you out. And since you haven't responded to any of my texts," he didn't kick me out. I had some personal stuff come up. I fidget with my dress, tugging the skirt to cover a few bruises on my thighs. But as discreet as I try to be, it doesn't escape Owen's attention. Is something going on? Would I shoot my eyes to his? I notice his gaze flicker to my neck, so I quickly hide the mark with my hair once more. No, I stammer, needing to come up with something to tell him, to bring his attention away from the questionable bruises that cover my body. My mom's sick. It's not a complete lie. That's why I haven't been in class. I had to take care of her. Oh God. Owen responds with all the compassion I've come to expect from him, his shoulders dropping. "I'm so sorry. I had no idea." He shakes his head. "Do you need anything?" "Thanks. But she's doing much better now. We both are." "That's good to hear. But next time, answer your damn texts. I was worried about you." He reaches for my hand, covering it with his before I have a chance to pull away. Worried the big bad wolf ran away with Little Purple Riding Hood. "Mr. Campbell." A booming voice fills the room. Owen and I jump in our seats and I yank my hand from his, hiding it in my lap. I expect Owen to shift his attention to Lincoln, but he doesn't. His analytical eyes studying me. I straighten my spine, feigning confidence, praying he doesn't put the pieces together. He wouldn't. Would he? Then again, the last time I was in this very room, class ended early due to some unexpected fireworks. Do you mind? Or is your conversation with Miss Davenport more important than, say, a journalist's privilege to keep their source anonymous? No, sir, I apologize, sir. Lincoln glares for several uncomfortable seconds before turning around, scribbling on the whiteboard. I keep my eyes glued to the blank page of my notebook, ignoring the way Owen steals a glimpse of the bruise on my leg, then shifts his attention back to Lincoln, as if on the brink of putting a puzzle together. "Now, Mr. Campbell?" Lincoln begins when he turns around, a cocky smirk on his face. "What can you tell the class about the Brandsburg cases?" I blow out a breath. As much as I hate when he intentionally picks on Owen because of our friendship, I'm grateful for it today, since it forces Owen to focus more on Lincoln's line of questioning and less on me, all throughout the 3-hour class. I do my best to focus on the material and compartmentalize this Lincoln from the Lincoln who called me his sweetest addiction, from the confusing Lincoln who recoiled the instant I suggested we leave the hotel together. The more I stew over his behavior, the more my irritation grows. He can't order me to a hotel room, treat me like he's only interested in getting between my legs, then get mad if Owen, a friend, appears genuinely concerned about my mysterious absence. He wants to have boundaries about where we're seen together. Well, I need boundaries too. When the class finally ends, Owen turns to me, raking his hand through his sandy hair. I didn't think I was going to survive that. Thankfully, any earlier suspicion has disappeared, probably because Lincoln called on me, much to everyone's surprise, but I suppose it's best to remove any appearance of impropriety. You did great. You're smarter than you give yourself credit for. I playfully nudge him in the side as we walk toward the door. I pay no attention to Lincoln, pretending to be more interested in whatever Owen's telling me. If he wants to treat me like I'm disposable, two can play his game. I know it's juvenile and a bit rash, but after this afternoon, he deserves a taste of his own medicine. As I'm about to leave with Owen, Lincoln's voice sounds from behind me. Miss Davenport, I'd like a word, please. I turn to face him. Oh, I wouldn't want to inconvenience you. I insist. He grits out, his jaw clenched. We need to discuss your absences and devise a plan going forward. You can email me. I need to get to an appointment. I lie, although I am supposed to meet the girls for happy hour. You've already missed enough classes for me to fail you. Miss Davenport, a few minutes of your time to discuss this is the least you can do. Rest assured, despite any connection I may have to your father, I have every right to fail you. I clench my jaw, my hands balling into fists. The room is still, dozens of curious stares watching our conversation. The last thing I need is to draw any more attention to us. That's the last thing Lincoln needs, too. So why is he doing this? Fixing my expression, I give him a saccharine smile. I apologize. Professor, you're right. There are things we should discuss regarding expectations going forward. Nodding curtly, he adjusts that damn tie, then grabs his messenger bag. Follow me, Miss Davenport. With pleasure, Professor. Chapter 36. What the fuck was that? I strain in an irate whisper the instant the door to Lincoln's office clicks closed. You think you can order me around in class? Threaten to fail me just to get me alone. Like this is some fucking game. I know it's not a game. His voice is soft, a complete juxtaposition to mine, which only aggravates me more. You don't get to treat me like that. I choke out. You don't get to fuck me, toss me onto the street, then act all jealous when I talk to a classmate, a friend. He grabs my hips, his earnest gaze attempting to put out the fire within. I know, and I'm sorry. His lips part as he struggles to find words, a rarity for a man who always seems to know what to say. We're skating on very dangerous ice here. One slip and we can both sink. He releases me, pacing the office, tugging at his hair. We don't have the luxury of being able to go out to dinner wherever we want, or going to see a show, or going away with friends for a weekend. Hell, even if you weren't my student, I still wouldn't be able to tell any of my colleagues at the paper about you, because you're the goddamn boss's daughter. Did I overreact when I saw Owen squeezing your hand, joking with you? I open my mouth to say something, but he interrupts me. Absolutely. But I can't help it around you. I can't reel in this insane jealousy that rips me apart. Chloe, the vein in his neck throbs with the passion and intensity with which he speaks. And I remain still, speechless, my earlier anger dissipating with every word. I can't even hold your hand in public without worrying about who could be lurking around the corner, about someone snapping a selfie that has us in the background, then post it on Instagram for the world to see, for the wrong person to see. He clutches my hands, his expression frantic. A man on the edge. I want to be able to take you out. I want to be able to show you off and shout to the world how fucking amazing you are. His face falls and he drops his hold on me, heading to the window. But I can't. He peers at the city surrounding us, his shoulders drooping as his realization this will never work rings out between us. I stare at him, swallowing hard through the lump in my throat, my heart sinking to my stomach. It was nice while we were in our own fantasy world earlier, but the fantasy never lasts. It'll fade, and all we'll be left with is the sad truth of who we are. Two people who can never be together. We were fooling ourselves to think otherwise. I understand. With timid steps, I turn around, heading toward the door, using every ounce of resolve not to look back. Now I know why Orpheus did, because it is so fucking hard not to. But that doesn't mean I can let you go. His emotion-filled statement reviving my hope. I pause with my hand on the doorknob. That night I found you and your mother struggling in the snow. Lincoln approaches, his hands sliding down my arms. I told you I was willing to risk it all for you, as long as you were willing to let me in. He spins me around, his eyes searching mine. Are you still willing to let me in? Even knowing things aren't going to be perfect? That it's going to be hard? That we're going to fight? I reach up, pushing back a lock of his hair. If you ask me, perfection is grossly overrated. And let's not forget the most important thing. What's that? That makeup sex can be really hot. His mouth kicks up into a smile as he cups my face, a flicker of desire in his eyes. That's all I needed to hear. Without a moment's delay, he crashes his lips against mine. Desperation and devotion and everything in between consuming him. I part my lips, treating myself to a taste of him. But like that first kiss, I won't be satisfied with just one taste. I need more. Wrapping my arms around his neck, I arch into him, running my hands through his hair. I dig my nails into his scalp, and he emits a hungered groan, pushing me across the room. When we reach the desk, I slide onto the edge, parting my legs as I hook them around his waist, tugging him even closer, his lips never leaving mine. He places his hand on my back and carefully lowers me onto the surface. Say you want me. I grin. Some things never change, and this is one I don't want to change. I never want to go a day without Lincoln begging for my reassurance. I want you. Say you need me. I need you. Tremors follow the line his hand draws up my leg, my pulse increasing as it disappears into the slit of my dress, his hold on my thigh possessive, sending sparks throughout my body. Do you have any idea how difficult it was to focus during class knowing you were a few feet away and weren't wearing any panties? How, if I turned your way at just the right moment when you uncrossed your legs, I may be lucky enough to catch a glimpse of what's mine? I close my eyes as his tongue traces a line from my mouth, down my throat, then across my neck. When he reaches the tender spot where he marked me, he's surprisingly gentle, peppering the most delicate kisses on my bruised skin. And you are mine, Chloe. His hand continues traveling north along my thigh. When he hits my center, I moan, succumbing to his touch once more. Say it. His voice isn't demanding, not like it was earlier today. It's more pleading, as if he can't go another moment without my declaration. I'm yours, all of me. His lips find mine, and he breathes into me, and I'm yours. Chloe. Have been since I first saw you. I knew back then that there was something different about you, that I had to have you, and not just your body. He slides a hand up my torso, tweaking my nipple before he affectionately rests his palm my chest. But your heart, as well. I grab onto his wrist, keeping it there as his other hand continues exploring me, pushing a finger in, then withdrawing before stretching me even more, unable to endure another second without feeling him. I sit up and reach for his waist, with my gaze locked on his. I loosen his belt and lower his zipper, wrapping my fingers around his erection and pulling it out. I stroke him as he continues fucking me with his fingers. His nostrils flare, his jaw twitching, his eyes dark as they look upon me with pure lust. Enough, he hisses, clutching my wrist, stopping me from jerking him off. Blind to all reason, he pushes me back and enters me in one quick thrust, filling me to the hilt, closing my eyes. I release a low moan, forgetting where we are. Shh, he brings his hand to my mouth, covering it. Quiet. I nod. He takes his hand away, his pace slow and languid so as to not make too much noise. Put it back. He pauses, furrowing his brow. Your hand, put it back over my mouth. His pupils dilating. He does as I command. Like this, he asks in a husky voice. I nod again, the temperature in my body rising, my core clenching at how dark this man can be. He continues pushing into me, filling me completely, just as a knock echoes between our labored pants. "Lincoln, are you in there?" A deep voice calls out from the other side of the door. We freeze, neither one of us so much as breathing. His wide eyes dart to the door, the seconds stretching. My heart is in my throat, adrenaline coursing through me. "It's John Morrison." "Shit," Lincoln utters under his breath. "Do you have a minute?" He blinks, his gaze shifting between the door and me. He stammers, "I'm on the phone." We both wait in anticipation, praying he walks away. But when no response comes, Lincoln hangs his head and reluctantly pulls out of me, offering a silent apology. "Give me a minute to wrap things up." "Certainly, on the phone." "Is that the only excuse you can come up with?" I whisper, as Lincoln helps me to my feet, remembering his use of the same excuse mere weeks ago when Professor Gordon interrupted us. "Would you rather I tell the dean I was in the middle of screwing one of my students and I'd be with him when I made sure she came?" Despite the gravity of the situation, I can't help but laugh quietly. I'd give anything to see the look on his face when you told him that. "You may get your wish if I can't figure a way out of this. Relax." I soothe, standing on my toes and kissing his cheek. "You're lucky you chose to screw the shortest student in class, and probably the most flexible." "Why's that?" "I can fit in some remarkably tight spaces." I waggle my brows, grab my coat and bag, then head behind his large cherrywood desk, crawling into the alcove between the drawers on either side. "Chloe." His Adam's apple bobs up and down in a hard swallow. "You don't—" "It's okay. There's no other option right now. So go see what he wants before he gets suspicious." He readjusts his composure, straightening the lines of his suit before walking to the door and opening it. I do my best to remain still. Despite my uncomfortable position, I pray it's a quick conversation. My legs are still sore from this afternoon's calisthenics, not to mention the pain already screaming from my ass. I won't be able to stay here for too long. "Dean Morrison," Lincoln greets, his voice deep and professional. "I hope I'm not disrupting you." "Not at all. Just had to answer a few questions on a filing we're making at the office." His steps draw closer, and I see his shoes appear a few inches from me. I glance up at his intimidating physique, oddly turned on at how commanding he looks behind this desk, with me at his feet. "Won't you have a seat?" "Thank you." There's a slight stirring as Dean Morrison assumes one of the chairs in front of the desk. Lincoln catches my gaze as he sits, but his eyes don't linger. "What can I do for you this evening? I heard through the grapevine that Chloe Davenport is back in class." He shifts, discreetly adjusting his belt. "She is." "That's good. At least she'll be better prepared for next semester." He cocks his brow. "What do you mean?" "The school only allows students to miss 10% of class hours. For most courses that meet for an hour 3 times a week, that amounts to 4 missed classes. But since yours is 3 hours once a week, anything after 2 is grounds for an automatic failure. Well, technically, anything after the first hour of the second missed class is, but I'm being generous. If my calculations are correct, Miss Davenport has now missed 3 classes. I understand the school policy, but I've decided to excuse the absences due to extenuating circumstances." "I see." There's a pause before Dean Morrison speaks again. "Professor Gordon mentioned you both saw Miss Davenport outside a bar in Soho several weeks ago." The tension in the room thickens, his line of questioning sounding more like an interrogation than a conversation between colleagues. "Yes. She also mentioned you shared a cab with Miss Davenport." I hold my breath, the seconds stretching uncomfortably. I crane my head, stealing a glimpse of Lincoln, his expression unaffected. I suppose that's the upside of being a lawyer. He has a damn good poker face. "I did. Again, there were extenuating circumstances." "I see." I hear the chair push back, followed by footsteps. I send a silent prayer that the dean isn't about to walk behind the desk. I'd never forgive myself if Lincoln lost his job, lost everything because of me. But isn't that the game we're playing? "The same extenuating circumstances you're using as grounds to excuse Miss Davenport from missing too many classes." Lincoln stands, straightening his tie. "As a matter of fact, yes. Since it's a confidential matter, I'm not at liberty to discuss the exact nature of the problem without Miss Davenport's permission, but it is sufficient enough to warrant excusing her." Last I checked, the school policy allowed professors the discretion to determine whether or not to excuse absences. And I've used that discretion here. These were the first classes she's missed. This semester, Dean Morrison interrupts pointedly, she doesn't have the best track record. Compared to her classmates who are fortunate enough to have their parents support them financially and emotionally. You're correct. But when you factor in that she works a full-time job, I'd say she's doing pretty well, in my opinion. She's a brilliant student, one of the most promising I've had in my class. I don't doubt that. Her father's a brilliant man. But Professor Gordon has voiced her concerns regarding your relationship with Miss Davenport. I must admit, I find it disconcerting you would share a cab with a student, even if she is the daughter of your boss. You're aware this school has a policy regarding personal relationships between faculty and students. Lincoln places his palms to his desk, leaning toward the dean, his eyes narrowed. What are you insinuating? That your behavior is raising eyebrows? Well, it shouldn't. Straightening, he widens his stance. You've been in higher education long enough to know this place is often worse than a soap opera. Miss Davenport needed help. I decided to act like a decent human being instead of ignoring her simply because my actions may, as you put it, raise a few eyebrows. If I saw one of my male students in the same predicament, I'd help him too. That may be true, but I'd still like to take a look at all the coursework Miss Davenport has submitted so far this year. Make sure it's on par with the level you claim. I study Lincoln's demeanor, arms defensively crossed in front of his chest, eyes unwavering. Everything about him giving the impression that he has nothing to hide. An impressive performance, considering he's hiding me underneath his desk. I notice Lincoln's jaw twitch slightly. Then he sits, careful to give me space, and opens a drawer. Tossing a file onto the desk, he leans back into the chair. There it is. I hear the subtle rustling of pages as Dean Morrison presumably flips through the few papers I'd handed in throughout the semester. Seconds turn into minutes as my heart thunders in my chest. I pray the dean can't hear it in the strained silence, and that he doesn't find my high marks suspicious. It appears she does have a knack for the law, Dean Morrison finally says. Much like her father, she certainly does. It's silent for a moment before the dean speaks once more. Very well. I'll let you get back to whatever it is you were working on. I apologize for jumping to conclusions. This school takes these kinds of things seriously. Completely understandable. Sir, I should have informed you of the incident previously. In the future, I'll be sure to report any encounters with my students outside class or office hours. You do that, footsteps echo, followed by the welcome sound of the door opening. I don't think my heart has ever pumped as fast as it has these past few minutes. And I'd strongly advise you to stay as far away from Miss Davenport as possible. No more requesting she come to your office to discuss her work. As I've heard has happened, even if it's innocent, you don't need anything else to add fuel to the fire, so to speak. You have my word. Good. When the door finally clicks closed, I blow out a breath, never having been so relieved in my life. Hey, Lincoln crouches down to my level, extending his hand toward me. It's okay. I locked the door. Nodding, I put my hand in his, allowing him to help me to my feet. I am so sorry. Rattled. I adjust my clothes, then collect my things. I didn't mean for something like this to happen. You could have lost everything because of how careless I was. You should have. Hey, he grabs my biceps, forcing me to stop. You have nothing to apologize for, but you're risking so much to be with me. Too much. It was fun role-playing earlier. But this... I step out of his touch and gesture between our bodies. This isn't a game. Lincoln, it's not just a fantasy, although I wish it were. You are my professor. If you stay with me, I will ruin your life. There's no way around it. No possible way this will have a happy ending, no matter the risk you're willing to take. He stares at me for several long moments, and I expect him to agree and send me on my way. Instead, he smiles. Do you know how my parents met? No. I shake my head. I've read about your father because of what happened to him. But other than that, He was the teaching assistant in one of Mom's English electives. Granted, it's not the same as our situation, but they still weren't permitted to be together. They had to wait. They weren't allowed to date while he was the TA assigned to her class. So he waited for her. He lowers his mouth toward mine, his breath kissing my lips, sending a shiver through me. He did. Said he knew she'd be worth the wait. But that's where I'm different from my dad. How's that, I murmur, craning my neck back. I've already had a taste, and I'm greedy for more. So I'm not going to stand by and wait for you. Chloe, I need to have you now, even if that means we have to be careful while we figure this out. He traces my jawline with a single finger. I already lost you once. Already pushed you away when I should have begged you to stay. It's going to take a lot more than the risk to my career for me to push you away again. Comforted by his sweet words, I fling my arms around him, kissing him with everything I have. I've never been with a man who is willing to risk everything to be with me. I still don't know how I deserve this, but I won't question it. Not now. There's just one problem, I murmur against his mouth. What's that? I glance at the door. How do you suggest we get out of here without raising any suspicion? A contemplative look crosses his face as he scans his office, weighing his options. Right. He shifts his eyes back to mine. I'll leave first. It's probably safer. When the coast is clear, I'll text you. I can't guarantee you'll have much time, so when you get my message, make it quick. But what about locking your office? I'll double back and lock it once you're in the clear. Okay? Okay. He collects a few papers, meticulously separating them into their appropriate folders before sliding them into his messenger bag. He heads toward the door, pausing when his hand touches the knob. A thoughtful expression crosses his brow as he looks back at me. What are you doing tomorrow night? I give him a sideways glance, seeing the wheels spinning in his head. Why, I want to see you. What did you have in mind? I saunter toward him. His lips brush mine. You'll have to wait and find out. I'll have a car pick you up at 7. Wear a dress. His eyes skate over my body before returning to mine. And heels. Definitely wear heels. Any reason why I bat my lashes? Because I love the way they dig into my skin when I make you come. I whimper, rendered speechless by his wanton and lust-filled statement. The way he says it with no hesitation. It makes me want him right now. Code of conduct be damned. Smirking. He twists the knob, pausing before opening it. For the record, I don't regret a thing. We'll figure this out. Chloe, promise. My lips curve into a smile, my heart warming. Okay. He holds my gaze a moment longer, then says, 7 o'clock. It's a date. He beams, his eyes sparkling. I like the sound of that. Then he disappears, closing the door behind him. I like the sound of that, too. I whisper into the darkness, feeling unusually content, despite our close call. He's right. Our situation isn't ideal, but it's better than the alternative of not being together at all. I don't want to go back to that. Not now that I have him again. When my phone buzzes mere seconds later, I yank it out of my purse and read Lincoln's text telling me the coast is clear. Drawing a deep breath, I crack open the door, peeking into the hallway. Once I confirm no one's lingering nearby, I sneak out of the office. Adrenaline pumps through me, making me hyper-aware of every sound, every cough, every sniffle. The corridors through the faculty area feel like they're miles long instead of just a couple dozen feet. When I finally step into the main corridor, my muscles relax and I can breathe again. I pause briefly to collect myself, then continue to the elevators, grinning deviously when I see Lincoln heading toward me. Miss Davenport, he says as he passes, mischief in his gaze. Professor Moore, have a great evening. I glance over my shoulder, lasciviously licking my lips. I already have. Chapter 37. One of my strongest childhood memories is sitting in my mother's room, watching as she got ready for some important function, usually a political rally or fundraiser. She'd always dress in smart pantsuits, told me they made her feel more powerful, insisted skirts and dresses were tools the patriarchy used to keep women where they wanted them. While I may not have acquired her flair for feminism, since I actually feel incredibly powerful in a skirt or dress, I did inherit a few of her other habits, like always spraying a bit of perfume behind my ears. As I do that same thing now, peering at my reflection in the mirror, I pause. For the first time in years, I see my mother in me. Correction. For the first time in years, I don't mind seeing my mother in me. The mass quantities of makeup I'd typically wear on a date is absent. Minimal contouring and eyeliner take its place, along with a bit of gloss on my lips to make them shine. But that's not the biggest change. I wrap a lock of hair around my finger, the blonde hue mixed with darker highlights giving me a more mature look. Gone is the gray and lilac color that's become my signature style. Something I've kept simply for the attention it garnered. I liked that guys came up to compliment my bold choice in hair color, then slyly invite me back to their place. I don't want that kind of attention anymore. Lincoln is the only person I want to notice me, and I want him to know who I really am. Want to show him I'm ready to let him in, to let him see the real me. The me few people have seen over the years. The me I haven't seen much of these past few years either. The knee-length dress I chose for tonight has a halter neckline that accents my back and shoulders. It's not as tight-fitting as I'm used to, but the belted waist adds a sensuality, as does the slit going to my mid-thigh. I never would have been able to pull off the emerald green shade before, since I hated how that color contrasted with my hair, but now that I'm a blonde again, I can get away with it. It actually suits me, bringing out a few green specks in my eyes I hadn't noticed before. When I hear the buzzer, I tear my eyes away from my reflection, my heart ricocheting into my throat. With shaky hands, I grab my clutch and shrug my belted coat over my dress, then walk toward the door, smiling a greeting at the chauffeur standing on the doorstep. "Good evening, Miss Davenport. I'm Charles, your driver." He helps me down the steps and opens the back door of the idling dark sedan. "Thank you." Once I'm secure inside, he shuts the door before running around the car to get behind the wheel. Pulling into traffic, he glances at me in the rearview mirror. "We should be there in about 15 minutes. "Where are you taking me?" Mr. Moore requested I not give any information away. I can't help but grin. The unknown of what awaits causing my insides to vibrate. It's been years since I've been on anything remotely resembling a date. Actually, I don't think I've ever truly had a first date. Not in the adult sense, anyway. My only other serious boyfriend was Parker. But we met in college. I'm doubtful a stolen kiss at the local pizza place where the entire university hung out qualifies as a date. Or going to the dining hall together. Or holding hands as we walked across campus. Since we both had the same class. As Charles maneuvers through the streets of Manhattan, I stare at the buildings as they become increasingly taller the farther away from the village we get. Each time we pass a hotel, I perk up, thinking this is all another build-up to whatever fun role-playing game Lincoln has in store for tonight. So when the car pulls up alongside a French restaurant in Midtown, I'm convinced I'm in the wrong place. Less than 24 hours ago, Lincoln and I discussed how we had to be more careful, discreet. Now he's taking me to a restaurant mere blocks from Central Park. There's no way we won't be seen. The risk is too great. Charles opens my door, helping me out of the car and walking me toward the restaurant. I steal a peek at the windows in an attempt to peer inside. But they're all made of mirrored glass, ensuring the patron's privacy. "Mademoiselle Davenport," a voice says in a thick French accent. I snap my eyes to see a man dressed in a dark suit standing inside the double doors, holding one open for me. "Monsieur Moore is expecting you," aware of the domino effect I fear tonight will cause. I look from the man back to Charles, who gives me an encouraging nod. I don't exactly have the best of luck. Hell, Murphy's Law should be renamed Chloe's Law. If something in my life can go wrong, it will. "Enjoy your evening," Charles says before retreating with a smile. "Mademoiselle Davenport," the maitre d' repeats, his brows raised in expectation, extending his arm into the foyer. I chew on my lower lip. Torn. Isn't this what I wanted? Though, didn't I want Lincoln to treat me like he would a normal girlfriend, not kick me out of a hotel room after having sex? But at what cost? Lincoln's always been a very rational and pragmatic person. He wouldn't bring me to a popular restaurant without some sort of safeguard, would he? On a deep inhale, I walk through the doors, allowing the maitre d' to take my jacket. Once the exterior door closes behind us, I'm met with serenity. There's no ambient chatter, no clinking of glasses, no scraping of forks against plates. The only sound is that of soft music coming from a piano. When I turn the corner, following the maitre d' into the dining room, I know why. The entire restaurant is empty, apart from Lincoln sitting at a table in the center. The instant he sees me, he stands, buttoning his suit jacket. It's not unusual for me to see him in a suit, but tonight, he looks different. His hair appears damp from a shower, his beard and mustache neatly trimmed to resemble just a bit more than a 5 o'clock shadow. Exactly how I like him. Chloe. His Adam's apple bobs up and down in a hard swallow as he rakes his gaze over my changed appearance. I was so wrought with nerves over the idea of being exposed that I didn't have time to obsess about whether Lincoln would like the new me. But it appears I had nothing to worry about. Not with the way he currently admires me with nothing short of unabashed reverence. You look emboldened. I do a quick spin, allowing him to get a full view of the dress I bought just for him. For tonight. For this new me. Like I pass him a demure look, his gaze unwavering. He takes several long strides toward me, drawing me into his embrace. You're stunning. I wrap my arms around his neck, toying with the few tendrils of hair that curl over his collar. You're not so bad yourself. He runs a finger down the curvature of my face, then grabs a lock of hair, twisting it around his digit. You got rid of the purple. I figured it was time for a change. Time to be me. I pause, bringing my lips toward him. Time to let you see the real me. His mouth finds mine, the kiss ardent, yet still respectful as he communicates how much this gesture means to him. When he pulls away, he cups my face. Thank you for letting me see who you truly are. He kisses my nose, then places his hand on my lower back and leads me toward the table. He holds out the chair, helping me into it before sitting catty-corner to me. Do I want to know what's going on here? I glance around the space, still a little confused why one of the premier French restaurants in the city would be empty on a Friday night. What do you mean? Lincoln responds nonchalantly. I lean closer, lowering my voice. This place, being here, the lack of other diners, my brow furrows. What's going on? He reaches for my hand, grabbing it in his. As he runs his thumb over my knuckles, his eyes remain focused on my skin. I never thought I'd be able to do this in public, he remarks contemplatively, almost in awe. What? He lifts his gaze to mine. Hold your hand. It's everything I imagined it would be. I'm pretty sure another piece of my heart floats across the table at his words, wrapping around him. I don't want to deprive you of the normalcy that goes along with a real relationship because of who we are to each other. You deserve better than that. All last night, I couldn't stop thinking about what we discussed yesterday, how we'll never be able to do normal things. Go out for a romantic dinner, hold hands, steal a kiss for no reason at all. Right now, there are definitely some complications. I blow out a laugh. You think, but that doesn't mean I won't take you out. That all we'll ever be able to do is hide away in one of our apartments or a rented hotel room. Granted, yesterday. My plan for tonight was another hotel room. But you deserve romantic dinners. Starlit walks through Central Park. Surprise flowers at work. I promise you. His grip tightens, his voice firm. In time, I will give you everything you've ever dreamed of, and more. There will come a day I'll be able to shout to the world how fucking happy I am because of you. He moistens his lips, pausing as he collects himself, his tone softening. But right now, I hope this is acceptable. A hint of a smile curves his mouth. We are in public. Even if there are no other diners present, he winks. You lawyers, always trying to get off on a technicality. Only with you. I only want to get off with you. He waggles his brows. Good. And tonight is more than acceptable. Although I'm not sure I want to know who you had to sweet talk in order to buy out this place for the night. No one. With a casual shrug, he leans back, releasing his hold on my hand. I'm friends with the executive chef, so I called in a favor. He's been closed the past 2 weeks preparing for a menu revamp, so it worked out quite well. I'd say, I muse as a waiter approaches with a bottle of wine Lincoln must have ordered before I arrived. After he presents it to him, the waiter opens it, pouring a small amount into a wine glass, allowing Lincoln to taste it. When he nods in approval, the waiter fills both glasses. Once we're alone, Lincoln raises his wine and I follow suit. To a first date I hope you'll never forget. I doubt I will. I smile, then bring the wine to my lips, taking a sip of the robust red. Although yesterday's role-playing was pretty unforgettable, too. I can't count that as a date. You deserve better than that. That may be true, but we can still play once in a while. You won't hear any complaints from me. He grins mischievously, which makes me want to skip dinner and go straight to dessert. I'll be sure to keep that in mind for future dates. A bit presumptuous, isn't it? To assume I'll agree to see you again? This first date could be a complete disaster and I may have to cut my losses. He takes another sip of wine, his motion slow, deliberate, meticulous as he swirls the liquid around his mouth. It's strangely erotic to watch. Such a simple thing adults of drinking age do on a fairly regular basis. But the way Lincoln takes his time to savor the liquid that winemakers spent countless hours perfecting makes my heart beat a little faster. My breathing to become a little more labored. My skin to flush under his sensual stare. Forget Pornhub. I could watch Lincoln swirl his wine all day long and probably get off numerous times. It may be presumptuous, he finally says when I'm on the verge of combusting. But something about you makes me think you like a man who's bold, who's confident, who has no problem telling you exactly what he wants. Am I right? He arches a single brow. Perhaps. I flirt, pretending to be completely unaffected by his charms. Then trust me when I say that. If I do my job right, I'm confident you will be so swept off your feet after tonight that I'll ruin you for any first dates that come after me, although I hope there won't be any. He reaches under the table, his hand settling on my knee. When he grips it somewhat harshly, I jump, yelping, before regaining my composure, nervously glancing around. And I'm also confident that after I get you in my bed tonight, the only name you'll scream again will be Lincoln Moore, eyes flaming with need. He brushes his fingers up my leg before pulling back, acting as unaffected as ever. But I know the truth, that he's the tortoise, and this is part of his seduction. His first lap around the track. I curve toward him, salaciously licking my lips. It already is. Lincoln. I pause, then moan out. More. The grip on his wine glass tightens, and I'm surprised it doesn't shatter in his hand. Now that would be a first date I'd never forget. The next hour seems to fly by as we talk about anything and everything that pops into mind. I search my memory for an instance we've done this, coming up empty. We've never really talked to each other, apart from playing Never Have I Ever during that fated blackout. But that was just part of a game. Here, we're finally learning about each other. More importantly, we're no longer hiding from each other. No longer trying to keep our past inside to prevent reopening wounds that probably never healed completely. Throughout the course of our dinner, he tells me story after story about his father. It's clear from the excitement and hint of longing in his voice that he still misses him, even though it's been nearly 20 years. I suppose time can't erase all wounds. I'm living proof of that, too. It's not as romantic as meeting at a club in Vegas. He says after telling me how his parents met at a blood drive on campus at the start of the semester. She was a nursing student who was helping with the blood collection. The second he laid eyes on her, he was attracted to her. Apparently, confidence and cockiness are traits among the Moore males. Instead of taking his time after giving blood, allowing the lightheadedness to wear off, Elijah insisted he was fine and attempted to stand. Of course, dizziness instantly took over and he fell, cutting his head, which required a couple stitches. Wendy found out where his dorm was and went to check on him. And the rest, I suppose, is history. Until she walked into class a few days later and learned he was her TA. I guess we all can't be so lucky. I roll my eyes. He grabs my hand in his. I've lost count of the number of times he's done that tonight. It's something so many other couples take for granted. I doubt I ever will again. I actually like our story. I like that we kept running into each other, as if the universe was trying to force us together. Bet you never expected to learn I was one of your students, though That certainly threw me for a loop. He gazes at me thoughtfully. But I wouldn't change that, either. Really, I like to think everything happens for a reason. And I like to think there's a reason you ended up in my classroom. And what's that? I lean toward him, my eyes glued to his. I think we both needed to fight for this. If there weren't these huge obstacles facing us, I think we would have taken each other for granted, taken our feelings for granted. Maybe it would have eventually turned into something more, something meaningful. But I think we needed this. Because I know something I didn't back in January. Hell, something I didn't even know a few weeks ago. What's that? I ask again, my voice softer. He brings my hand up to his mouth, placing soft kisses against my knuckles. That I'll always fight for you. No matter the battle, no matter the cost. And that's all it takes for the remainder of the wall protecting my heart to crash down, allowing Lincoln Moore to possess it. Chapter 38. I slam my hand onto the kitchen island where I've been chopping tomatoes and cucumbers for a salad. Oh my God, I just thought of something. Lincoln glances over his shoulder. Should I be worried? Fluffy, facing me. He crosses his arms in front of his chest. And it takes every ounce of resolve I possess not to drag him back into the bedroom, especially when I see his muscles flex with the motion. There is nothing sexier than a man cooking in the kitchen, except a man cooking without a shirt. And that's my current view. Over the past several weeks, I've spent a great deal of time in Lincoln's apartment. It now feels more like home than my own place. We've gone out on occasion, usually to a late movie at a theater so far out of the way that the chance of seeing anyone we know is slim. But we tend to play it safe and have a date night in, as he calls them, cooking dinner together, watching movies, always adding a personal touch to make it more than just staying at home. Yes, Fluffy, your cat, the one you told us about in Vegas that you're convinced cursed you. I remember Fluffy. He returns to the stove to check on the steaks searing on the burner, coating them with some melted butter from the pan. I do my best not to gawk. Yes, I love a muscular chest and chiseled abs, but there's something incredibly sexy about Lincoln's broad shoulders and sculpted back that tapers into a defined waist, and those dimples right above his shorts beg to be licked. But I don't. That might be a little creepy. I know I'd be creeped out if I were cooking and he came up and licked my lower back. Then again, and it's a good thing we just had sex because bringing Fluffy up in conversation would probably curse me, Lincoln adds as he turns around, his voice and sudden motion forcing my eyes up to his. A sly smirk tugs on his mouth when he realizes he caught me ogling his physique. He stalks toward me, using his body to press me against the island. But I have a feeling you'd be able to lift any curse. He grinds against me, making his erection known. Down, boy. Do you need a cold shower? I push him away. What I meant was, it just occurred to me that Midge's cat, Pigpen, is Fluffy. You said you gave the cat to your boss after they'd lost theirs. I did. He walks back to the stove. And yes, Fluffy's name is now Pigpen. Don't you find that incredible? What do you mean? Think about it. If you'd mentioned the name he has now, I would have pushed to find out who your boss was. Let's face it, Pigpen isn't exactly a common name for a cat. It is if you're a Peanuts fan. He transfers the steaks to a baking sheet before placing them into the hot oven, setting a timer for 6 minutes. True, but it would have provoked a follow-up. I squint, considering all the pieces that had to fall into place for us to end up together. And if I'd learned you worked as an attorney for the Times, I never would have so much as entertained the idea of sleeping with you, let alone kissing you. So you would have friend-zoned me. Cocking a brow, he approaches me, pushing the cutting board to the side. With incredible ease, he grabs my ass and lifts me onto the surface of the island, settling between my legs. No, you would have been in the no zone, not even the friend zone. At least there, I could have attempted to use my amazing powers of persuasion. He curves into me, his mouth landing on my neck, the way he sucks and licks the perfect mixture of carnal and reverent. That would have been futile. I respond breathily. I draw a hard line in certain matters. Is that right? He slowly circles his hips, the friction jump-starting my libido, as if the old girl needs an excuse. God, yes. I throw my head back as he continues moving against me, his unshaven jaw bruising my skin. That is so right. He abruptly pulls away, his eyes dancing with amusement. Now who needs a cold shower with playful arrogance? He retreats from me, heading toward the counter to take the baked potatoes out of the foil, refusing to let him beat me at this little game. I slide off the island, nonchalantly sauntering up to the sink. I make it look like I'm about to rinse the berries I set aside to top the cheesecake I'd brought over. Cold shower, huh? That's right. In one quick move, I yank the hose from the faucet, spraying him with the water. He stiffens, spinning around to face me, but he makes no attempt to get out of the line of fire. His lips curl with a sinister smile as he advances, his steps slow, deliberate, unforgiving. When he grabs the bowl of heavy cream I'd whipped to go with our dessert, a devilish glint flashes in his eyes. I take the pressure off the water, but that doesn't stop him from scooping whipped cream out of the bowl and smearing it down my face. I stand completely still for a moment, the shock leaving me frozen. Then I wipe some of the cream off my face, making a show of seductively licking my fingers, even though I shudder to think what I look like. With a devious grin, I grab a handful of blackberries from the carton on the counter. His gaze remains glued to mine, watching me with interest as I smash them into his chest, rubbing the juices all over his body. He tries to remain serious, but I notice the faintest hint of his mouth lifting in a smile. "You're in trouble now, Pixie," he warns as he goes to hook an arm around my waist. Squealing, I attempt to escape him, but slip on the wet floor, taking him down with me. We land with a hard thump, the room momentarily silent. Then we break out in laughter, the sound echoing against the high ceilings. "I've always wanted to add food into the mix," I joke, but I figured we'd start with whipped cream on my nipples. Maybe a little chocolate syrup. Not sure how erotic the face can be. "Oh, baby, I guarantee I can make it hot for you." Grinning, he drags his tongue along my jawline, tasting the sweet treat, and I moan, succumbing to him. When the timer buzzes, neither one of us are interested in those steaks anymore. The sensation of warm lips brushing against my temple slowly stirs me from sleep. Normally, I hate to be woken, treasuring every second of sleep I can get. But these days, my reality seems better than my dreams. And who wouldn't want to be awoken by such a beautiful kiss? It worked for Snow White and Sleeping Beauty. They didn't groan and roll over, pushing their prince away, begging in a raspy voice for 5 more minutes of slumber. And neither do I. "Morning," I say, melting into Lincoln's lingering kiss. "Morning." My eyes flutter open, but the room is still dark, day not having broken just yet, although the glow coming from the windows tells me it will soon. "What time is it?" 6. I shift, turning my eyes to his. "An emergency at work." A slight smile curves his lips. "No. It's my day at the university. I wanted to go early and finish grading papers so I can turn in my final grades." Final grades, I arch a single brow. Slowly nodding, he erases the distance between us, and we'll be one step closer to finally being free, to finally being us. A fluttering erupts in my stomach when his mouth skims mine, his kiss hesitant and soft. As much as I love his hunger-filled kisses that brim with so much desperation and passion, these are my favorite. These gentle exchanges in our stolen moments before dawn. I think this calls for a celebration. I feel his lips curve up. I agree. The scruff of his beard scrapes me as he trails kisses from my mouth and along my neckline. "What did you have in mind?" I crane my head, allowing him better access. His hand roams the contours of my frame, and I part my legs, moaning when he grazes against me. "I can think of a few things," he answers coyly, nipping at my skin, driving me even more wild. One in particular that I've been fantasizing about for months now. "What's that?" I pant. He pauses, and I can almost see the smile crawling across his mouth. Then he pulls back. "Meet me at the living room in the Park Hyatt tonight." My eyes fly open as I prop myself up onto my elbows, searching his gaze. "Are you sure? Why wouldn't I be?" he says nonchalantly, straightening himself, buttoning his suit jacket. "It's fitting, if you ask me. Starting this new chapter where it all began. where you finally gave me a chance." Then he gently touches his lips to mine, erasing any trepidation. Even more so considering today marks 4 months since the blackout that changed my life. I sigh into him, unable to believe it's been that long. In some respects, it feels like it has been longer than 4 months, considering everything we've been through. In other ways, it seems like it was just yesterday that I walked into that classroom and learned the man I'd been having incredible sex with was my First Amendment law professor. The happiest, most excruciating, amazing, heart-wrenching 4 months of my life. But I'd do it all over again if it meant I'd still be here with you. When he cups my cheek, I close my eyes, savoring the feel of his rough hands against my smooth skin. His mouth brushes mine and I melt into his soft kiss. So, 8 o'clock. I simply nod, ignoring my internal voice of reason that tells me we should still be careful, that we won't be in the clear just because he submitted my final grade. But when have I ever listened to reason if I had? I never would have run out of the bar all those weeks ago, telling Nora and Evie I had to go see a man about a pair of panties. Then I wouldn't be here. Sometimes, it pays to take a risk. I can't wait. Either can I. Lincoln treats me to one last kiss, then leaves me alone in his large bed. Chapter 39. Tapping my fingernails against the bar, I check the time to see it's nearly 8:20, growing antsy with each passing minute that Lincoln doesn't show up. Did someone put the pieces together? Was my father nearby when one of my texts flashed on Lincoln's phone? Did someone see us during one of our supposed clandestine meetings and report him to the dean, or worse, my father? Worse. A ding rips through the background noise of the bar and I flick my eyes to my cell, blowing out a breath when Lincoln's name pops up on the screen. Play along, no questions. Confused, I'm about to text back when I notice movement to my left and shift my eyes in its direction. Is this seat taken? Fuck me, I murmur, swallowing hard as I stare at the man in front of me. He's in a different suit than the one he wore this morning. His hair glistens, evidencing a recent shower, his beard neatly groomed. But that's not what has me squirming in my seat. It's the British accent with which he speaks. It sounds remarkably authentic and sexy. Holy shit. Is it sexy? I didn't think I could be any more attracted to this man. Didn't think it were humanly possible. I was so wrong, miss, he says with a smirk, knowing all too well what has my panties about to combust. Trying to play it cool, I take a moment to compose myself, then smile slyly. It is now. With a wicked shine in his eyes, he assumes the seat, flagging down the bartender. I simply watch him, trying to figure out exactly what game we're playing. No matter what, I have a feeling it's going to be a lot of fun. You here alone, he asks after he swallows a sip of his scotch, his lips wet from the remnants of the liquid. It appears I smooth the lines of my skirt. Is that so? I was supposed to meet someone. I sigh in mock disappointment. But it looks like he stood me up. A salacious smile builds on his mouth. His loss is my gain. He eyes my nearly empty martini. Can I buy you another? I lean back in my chair. I should probably just go home and forget about tonight, considering it appears my date has... I pinch my lips together, interested to see how Lincoln plays this. You're right. You definitely should go home. His gaze darkens. A warning. But don't you think you'd have more fun with me than going back to your place with nothing to distract you from thinking about some prick who apparently has horrible taste? What makes you say that? Isn't it obvious? I shrug. Humor me. He stood you up. He rakes his gaze down my body, and desire flickers in his deep pools. I uncross and recross my legs, allowing the slit of my dress to reveal the skin of my thigh, jaw tightening, nostrils flaring. He reluctantly lifts his eyes to mine. No man in his right mind would stand up a woman as stunningly beautiful as you. He inches toward me. His lips close. I'd give anything to erase that last bit of space between us and taste him. But I don't, remembering the game we're playing. And I certainly love these games. Give me one drink to prove it to you. If you're not convinced, you can go on your way. And if I am convinced, I exhale. Then you come up to my room and I make you forget all about this man who isn't worth your time. And how do you hope to do that? I bat my lashes. Use your imagination. His mouth skims against mine, causing a shiver to roll through me. Then he pulls back, the epitome of restraint. I do have a very active imagination. He lifts his scotch to his lips. That's what I'm banking on. My gaze lingers on him as he swirls the liquid, then swallows. Returning his glass to the bar, he focuses his attention on me. So, what do you say? One drink with me, then maybe one night where you can have all your needs met, or go home all alone. I pause, enjoying the anticipation in his expression before nodding. One drink. Good girl. He leers at me for a moment, then waves down the bartender. Once he turns his attention away from me, I exhale a long breath. I've shared a bed with this man numerous times, but the rush of exhilaration filling me makes me feel like we're two strangers, my heart pounding a thunderous rhythm. When the bartender sets my drink in front of me, I offer him a smile. I took a guess at what kind of vodka you'd prefer, Lincoln states, reminding me of a similar conversation back in Vegas. But something made me think you were a Belvedere girl. He leans toward me, running a finger down my arm. Smooth, layered, sophisticated. I take a sip of my drink before setting the glass back on the bar. How did you know I liked my martini dirty? I pass him a sly grin, more than aware of what line's about to follow. He hovers closer still, the nearness of his lips unhinging me. I had a feeling you liked things dirty. Wouldn't you like to find out? His lips ghost against mine, teasing me, making me desperate for more, regardless of the fact we're in public and anyone can see. Lincoln may have turned in his final grades, but we're still on rocky ground. We will be for a while. Seeing us together like this when I'm still technically a student will certainly raise eyebrows. Hell, seeing us together like this even a few months from now will raise eyebrows. You have no idea. He growls, jaw tensing, pupils dilating. I brace myself for the kiss I sense is coming, but it never does. He retreats, the foot or so between us feeling like miles. So, I assume you're not from around here, brushing a lock of hair behind my ear. I bring my glass to my mouth, trying to steady my trembling hand. What gave it away? He jokes slyly. All non-New Yorkers have a sign on their foreheads. Only true New Yorkers can see it. Is that right? Sure is. I see. He looks forward, pretending to pay attention to the Yankees game on TV. But I know the only interest he has in the game is the Yankees losing. Like his father, Lincoln has two favorite baseball teams, the Mets and anyone playing the Yankees. So, where are you from? I ask after a brief silence, trying to spark conversation. Does it matter? His tone isn't curt, more sensual and amused. Excuse me, does it matter? He repeats. I'm not from here. I fly back home tomorrow, so after tonight, you'll never see me again. I was just trying to make small talk. Is that what you like, small talk? After considering his question, I blow out a breath. I find it dull and ordinary, but it appears most people opt for these kinds of mundane questions. And why do you think that is? Because they're too scared to ask what's really on their mind. Scared to voice their deepest desires. His mouth lifts into a grin, his eyes dancing with amusement. Take all the rules off the table. Forget about propriety and custom. What would you ask me? I curve toward him, bringing my hand to his thigh. His pupils dilate as I inch farther up his leg. If I were to agree to accompany you upstairs, what did you have in mind? A magician never reveals all his secrets. He winks. Need to give you a reason to come, if only for curiosity's sake. That may be true, but I never buy anything sight unseen, or at least without a description of what I can expect. A description, he cocks a brow. Yes, a description. I lean back, removing my hand from him in the hopes the lack of touch pushes him to his breaking point, just as it does me. But he's still as composed as ever. Very well. He faces forward, brushing the pad of his thumb along his bottom lip. I'll finish my scotch, thanking you for the enlightening conversation, and slide my keycard your way, leaving the ball in your court. As the saying goes, you'll be unsure at first, wondering if you can do this, if you can really take that key and go up to a stranger's room. But your desperate need to forget your inhibitions for one night will get the better of you. His tone is even and measured, as if discussing an important business deal instead of his plans of seduction. You think so? I do. So you'll take that key and use it. You'll walk inside my room, and neither one of us will say a single word. We won't need them. We'll communicate our need with our bodies. You'll be so overcome with an urge to feel me. You'll try to strip off all my clothes, but I won't let you. You won't? No. He slowly shakes his head. Not yet. That's the problem with all these other men you've dated. And what's that exactly? I shoot back, playfully rolling my eyes. He leans toward me. They didn't take their time to seduce you, because they're just boys. I've dated older men, I say very matter-of-factly. Doesn't matter. They're still boys. A woman should be savored, like a fine wine, like the delicacy she is. Boys screw. I don't. So, what, you'll make love to me? I taunt. No. What I plan to do to you is so much more than that. I swallow hard. More. Yes. The heat of his breath on my neck causes my lips to part, making me shift as I clench my thighs together to dull the ache. I will consume you. Hold your desires captive. Possess your every thought from this moment forward. I'll bring you to the brink of utter bliss, only to pull back, drawing out your pleasure as long as possible. You'll beg me to let you come, to make you experience the mind-altering orgasm you'll now be convinced only I can provide for you. But I'll make you wait a little longer, because you wouldn't have reached your breaking point. Not yet. His breathing grows heavier, the muscles in his face tightening as the distance between us becomes nearly non-existent. I'll feast on your body, memorizing every dip and valley, taking my time to give every inch of you the attention it deserves. When you don't think you can take any more, I'll bring you to the bed. You'll be blindfolded and restrained, completely at my mercy. Your orgasm completely at my mercy. Your legs will be spread wide so you can't find any relief that way. You'll need me. I already need you. I pant, my voice not sounding like my own. I don't even have to look at his lips to see his smile. I was hoping you'd say that. He abruptly pulls back and drains his scotch. Then he coolly slides a keycard my way, winking before turning from me, leaving me a bundle of sensations. I watch as he disappears out of the lounge, exhaling to calm my overwrought nerves, my legs shaky. I'm careful as I step down from the bar stool, lost in my thoughts of how Lincoln can affect me like this, considering we spend almost every night together. I jump when a hand grips my arm, my heart ricocheting to my throat. I snap my head to my right, gasping at Lincoln's heated stare. Before I can utter a syllable, he yanks my body against his and kisses me as if it's a regular occurrence for him to do this. It's been so long since he's kissed me in public. Most people wouldn't think it a big deal. Before Lincoln, I never gave it much thought myself. But now I do. And I want nothing more than to keep kissing him. There's a hint of reluctance as he pulls away, and I search his eyes, unsure if this man kissing me is Lincoln or my mysterious stranger. The sparkle in his gaze as he smiles tells me it's Lincoln. He runs a soft finger along the contours of my face. You are fucking incredible. Chloe. He opens his mouth, then stops, as if struggling to find the words. He grips my cheeks, his expression filled with admiration, respect, and something else. Something I've seen for a while now but have been too scared to label. Yes, I urge when he trails off. A look of peace washes over him. I love you. I blink repeatedly, my mouth falling open, my pulse increasing even more. A fluttering sensation builds in my stomach, making me feel lightheaded, but in the best way possible. I know it's not the way most people declare their love. He continues when I don't say anything in response. The one thing my father's death taught me is to never wait to tell someone how you feel. There may never be a perfect time to say it, especially with us. He cracks a small smile before his expression turns serious once more. But I love you. You don't have to say it back. I understand this is difficult for you. He licks his lips. I just thought you should know. My head makes a slight motion, like a nod, but I'm not sure what that means. A gesture of acceptance. This is new territory for me. No one's ever told me they loved me. Not like this. Sure, my one boyfriend in college said it, but I didn't hear the meaning behind those words. Not like I do with Lincoln. When he says he loves me, I believe it with every fiber of my being. Just give me a few minutes to get ready for you. He places a soft kiss on my nose, then turns from me. I can't take my eyes off him as he walks through the crowded lounge and toward the bank of elevators. My heart fuller than I thought possible from his surprise declaration. Months ago, I would have run far away if someone told me they loved me. But Lincoln's love doesn't scare me. Love doesn't scare me, not like it once did. Recovering my composure, I grab my purse and offer a nod of thanks to the bartender, keycard in hand. I turn to make my way up to Lincoln's room when I come to an abrupt stop at the intimidating figure hovering nearby. You know those scenes in a movie where the main character's worst fears are realized, and the camera focuses on them while the background zooms out? That's what this moment feels like. Like my world is giving out from beneath me. Hi, Dad?